He was Idaho's 29th governor. And when he took office in 1995, he became Idaho's first Republican governor in a generation, beginning a string that is yet to be broken. Phil Batt, the one-time onion and hops farmer from Wilder, was a one-term governor who didn't need more than 4 years to leave a lasting legacy on Idaho and its people. Governor Batt passed away last Saturday, the morning of his 96th birthday. Today, he was honored with a ceremony at the state capitol, a place where the reluctant politician spent 3 decades of his life. A state legislator for 2 years, a state senator for 16, a lieutenant governor for 4. Colleagues, friends, family, those who knew him well and those who just felt like they did, gathered to pay tribute to the man who brought selflessness and jazz to the office of the governor. The ceremony of the circumstance. From the State House steps to the skies above. A former governor lying in state can seem a solemn affair.
I would rather be ashes than dust. Didn't that sound like Phil Batt?
But for those who came to honor the former onion farmer,
I would rather that my spark should burn out in a brilliant blaze than it should be stifled in dry rot.
The former governor, Phil Batt.
The proper function of man is to live, not to exist. I shall not waste my days in trying to prolong them. I shall use my time. God bless Phil.
The weight of the moment could be felt in the emotion of the memories.
Governor Batt's long-standing service as a citizen, legislator, lieutenant governor, and governor, and the many roles he played is marked by many achievements. I wish all future leaders could take a lesson from this man. Take the long view.
When people describe Phil Batt, I never heard them use the term tall, but we all did look up to him. He loved people, whether it was the farm workers, the migrant workers. He absolutely loved people of all color, ethnicity, preference. He personified the golden rule. And his devotion to Idaho and his compassion for people, his humility, his decency, and his civility.
Those tangibles impressed more than just his politics.
My father started working with Governor Batt back in the 50s. He would migrate from Texas to Wilder, and he worked the hops, the hop fields. Very special person. Him and my dad were just like brothers, you know. He worked for probably 30 years for him. I used to be his gardener when I was a teenager in my summer job. He was a very, very friendly, nice boss, you know. Every morning when we'd be unloading stuff or getting ready to go to work, good morning guys, how are you guys doing? You know, he'd always be smiling and he'd be ready to come here.
What are you gonna remember most?
You know, his kindness, you know, he made you feel good. He always made you feel like you were part of the family, and that was special.
A small man, but a big heart. He was an honest, caring, good person. Probably the kindest governor that I knew.
He's what we think Idaho should be. You know, he's the kind of people that you respect. Yeah, and that's why we're here.
How he supported equality and people. Everyone, he looked at them as individuals and saw them as individuals, which speaks for Idaho. That's what I think Idaho is, good people. So that's how why I'll remember him.
Eva Gay Yost will remember him as her boss.
And he said, okay, you're the scheduler.
where she kept track of his calendar,
for the whole 4 years that he was in office.
but also as a friend who helped him write 2 books.
He wrote those books in longhand on a yellow lined tablet with his tiny little writing, and then I had to decipher it and type it.
What was he like behind closed doors?
He could be serious if it was a serious situation, but he was always so kind. He was just very kind and appreciative of what we in the governor's office, what we did for him. You know, he really was.
Eva's scheduling duties continued through Governor Batt's final days, planning his 96th birthday with the help of his wife, Francie.
And we got a cake, and then she called me that morning and said that he was gone. And I said, well, what should we do about the party? Do you think we can just go ahead and do it? And she said, absolutely, we're going to do it. He'll be there in spirit. So we did, and it was great. It was a nice party. I'm going to miss him terribly. I'm just grateful for the time that I had with him, that I got to know him, and that he was my friend. There won't be another one. There will never be another Phil Batt, ever.
Those 2 books Governor Batt wrote, one a memoir called The Complete Phil Batt, a kaleidoscope, and a compilation of humorous stories called Life as a Geezer. I learned today Governor Batt's favorite restaurant in town was Yanqing, the Chinese restaurant downtown. It's where they spent several of his birthdays. In fact, Governor Batt had a standing reservation there for years. He even had a dedicated table where he would take family and friends to share his favorite food. The owner of the restaurant, Satoshi Narita, telling us today, quote, "We had the privilege to serve our governor for a couple of decades. He was a great man. We will miss him." You better believe several of his family members and friends left the State House today to have lunch in Governor Batt's honor today at Yanqing, but just not sure they could all fit at his table. Sadness wasn't the only emotion shared today for Governor Batt. During the ceremony, it was revealed Governor Little proclaimed March 4th, 2023, the former governor's birthday, by the way, as Phil Batt Old Geezer Tightwad Day. That's what he called it. And it has some great proclamations in it, too. Starting with, whereas Idaho was forever changed 96 years ago when Philip Eugene Batt made his entrance into the world on March 4th, 1927, to whereas years of onion and hop farming made Phil a stern fiscal conservative who famously cut costs for the state of Idaho by forcing a switch to thinner toilet paper. And how about this one? Whereas the fate of Cecil Andrus's Cadillac is still unknown after Phil ditched it in favor of the more economical Ford Taurus, and whereas Phil has been living the life of an old geezer, we love him dearly. I, Brad Little, governor of the state of Idaho, do hereby proclaim March 4th, 2023 to be Phil Batt Old Geezer Tightwad Day. Impressive. Governor Batt will lie in state on the first floor of the Capitol until tomorrow morning. Then his funeral will be held tomorrow morning at 11 at the Cathedral of the Rockies in Boise's North End. That, too, will be open to the public.